This is a big year for renewing global commitments to sustainable development, and it's clear that there's still much left to be done, and that new challenges have emerged since the signing of the Millennium Development Goals. But what's less clear is what kind of an effort is needed to really ensure lasting development. There's a real danger that more of the same approaches will prevail, when what we really need to be doing is changing our approach, particularly if we're going to be reaching the poorest. According to projections in our report, for many of the world's poorest people, it will still be up to 100 years or more before they have access to quality services. So in Kenya, for example, one of the fastest growing economies in sub-Saharan Africa, they still face something like a 150-year wait before you'll have sanitation access nationwide. In Ghana, another fast-growing economy, we see something like a 76-year gap between when the richest and the poorest will have access to a skilled health professional during childbirth. And even in sectors where we're seeing overall levels of progress and improvement, such as access to drinking water sources, some countries still really lag behind. So Burundi, Lesotho and others face an 85-year wait until they have that nationwide. What we see in our analysis in our report is that more money, more investment, more economic growth will not be on their own enough to address these gaps. So in countries which are experiencing these relatively high levels of growth and are having more aid investment, there's still a big divergence about the kinds of outcomes that they're achieving and a big unevenness in those outcomes across different groups. Now, a big part of what's happening here is political choices and priorities. It's about how people behave or what motivates them. It's about how systems and institutions work. So we really need to be addressing that. This is not about trying to import international models of best practice. Looking at the evidence in our report, we find that the best approaches are those which allow domestic reformers and those trying to support them to work in a number of ways. So it's often about solving particular problems rather than adopting ready-made solutions. It means working in very politically smart and savvy ways. Often it means being adaptive, entrepreneurial, making small bets in the face of uncertain outcomes. And above all, it's being locally led and focused on problems that really matter to local people. In our report, there are lots of examples of what this really looks like in practice. And we have a documentary film that accompanies the report that gives a really vivid illustration from the Philippines. Here we follow a team who are able to achieve a really significant reform around land titling by working in the ways that I've described. We need to turn the spotlight back on aid here too. We could be doing much more to invest and support the kinds of initiatives that I've been describing. But to do that, we need a more honest and a more realistic debate about aid too.